Hi, folks. This is Mr. Walsh, your driver education your driver education instructor. And today we are on chapter or lesson 14. Okay. And we're going to start right at slide 13, and make our way through it, and then kind of double back and start at the beginning. Okay. Um, Most of what you're going to see in the quiz is going to be from slide 13 on. So here we go. I'm going to bring us right to slide 13 by going to, here we go. All right. Okay, so when we're talking about ownership of a vehicle, we're kind of coming to the end of the course now. We're kind of going into some of the stuff that will start preparing you for the future as a road user. And vehicle ownership, we recognize, is something that some of you might be considering in the very near future. So here we go. So a certificate of title. So any vehicle that is bought or sold comes along with a certificate of title. All right. It is a certificate from the motor vehicle, from the Department of Motor Vehicles. It's a title and it is required to demonstrate proof of ownership. Okay. It shows the owner's name and address. It shows the vehicle's body style, shows the numbers of cylinders, shows the serial number, and most importantly, it shows the vehicle identification number, what we call the VIN. Okay. Time and time again, as a vehicle owner or a vehicle user, you're going to hear the name VIN. This is every vehicle in the world has its own unique number, and yours will be usually at the on the front left. All right, mine, I think maybe everybody's now, is located under the windshield on the left side on the dashboard. So if you're standing next to your registration and your inspection, you should be also able to see that VIN number. And quite honestly, I think the police may actually check the VIN number with your registration if they pull you over. Okay. If the owner has purchased a vehicle on a time payment plan, like a loan, the title also will indicate that there is a lien, debt owed against the vehicle. This is pretty common, guys. Most people buy the cars on credit, they finance them. So there usually is some type of lien against the vehicle. By the way, do not leave this document in your vehicle. Okay, so again, the registration is going to be in that bottom left-hand corner of your car, right? So if you've really never taken a moment to notice that, now's a good time to take a look the next time you go up to your vehicle. All right. So in New York State, it has these features to it. Okay. It has your VIN number, right? Vehicle identification number. I know it's a little redundant to say VIN number, but I think most people refer to it that way. So I'm going to do the same thing. So then it shows the vehicle make, right? So Honda. Then it shows the model year, right? 1993, 1993. Okay. All vehicles, trailers, and boats must be registered in New York. Registration costs vary based on vehicle. And I want to say they vary based on New York. I think downstate that it might be more or less than upstate. Don't quote me on it, but I think I saw that. All right. So now, and this I think is something very important for young drivers, so that they know what happens, what the rules are, and what are the consequences if you allow your vehicle's registration to go out of date. Okay, if you are pulled over and have failed to renew your vehicle registration, it is considered a non-moving violation, so you won't get points on your license. Although no points will be applied to your license, you will in fact be fined. Okay, there's a fine attached to it. If your vehicle has been expired or your registration has been expired for less than 60 days, the fine is at least $40, and it can go up to $300. And an automatic $93 surcharge will be applied at the court. Okay. If your registration has been, there we go. If your registration has been expired for more than 60 days, the fine is at least $70 and can go all the way up to $300. And again, be aware of the $93 surcharge at court. Someone may ask, and this would be a great question for you guys in the breakout room, is to figure out whether or not you will be charged a $93 surcharge for the court if you plead guilty on your ticket. Okay. I almost want to say that the $93 surcharge is only if you plead not guilty and you go to court. Interestingly, we pay $93 for the service of the court to prove that we're not guilty. Kind of strange. Okay, New York State inspection. New York requires all vehicles to be inspected yearly. Okay. No reminders are sent by the DMV. It's up to you to know when your inspection is due. If you take your vehicle regularly, once a year at least, to a mechanic for a checkup, they often will remind you of this. Okay. You also may take your vehicle twice yearly to your mechanic to change its tires. Okay. If you're changing out, summer tires or all weather tires to winter tires, that's also a great time for your mechanic to do the safety inspection for your vehicle. Okay. He's already there and he's going to have to check out the brakes and so on anyway. The things that will cause you to fail your inspection are cracked or discolored mirrors, deteriorated windshield wipers, check engine or service engine light turns on, bad brakes, a bad frame, suspension problems, steering problems in wheel fasteners, bad tires, incorrect window tint. All lights on your vehicle have to work. Okay, it's a great time to get them fixed. No fuel leaks can be allowed, right? And also, if your car, they do check emissions. That's a big part of the inspection process. Okay, what are the consequences for not having a current inspection for your vehicle? If the inspection sticker on your vehicle has expired in the last 60 days, you can receive a fine. Now it says 25 to 50. If the inspection sticker is expired for more than 60 days, it can be between 50 and 100. Okay. We got a little bit of different information, conflicting information here. This definitely, guys, is more recent. I actually took this from a law firm. That's where I got this. If there is no inspection sticker, the fine is between $50 and $100. A mandatory state surcharge of $88, $93 in towns and village courts is added to the fine. So that's where the difference was. Okay, so $88 is, city courts. So this would be, well, we can't tell from this picture, but this is what court looks like, guys. Okay, so we even have police officers here giving their testimony. Okay, and all the other people in the room are either in there for a violation, or they're a relative of someone or a lawyer for someone who committed a violation or is charged with a violation, I should say. And of course, here's the judge. Okay, what happens if you were given a traffic violation ticket? So, new driver probation. Let me just go over really quickly what's going to happen when you get pulled over. Okay. So when you get pulled over, the first thing you want to do is signal, use the signal, mirrors, observe, and then go. And you're going to pull over to a safe place, okay, on the shoulder of the road, okay? You should do this rather promptly. The officer should not flash his headlights, or not flash his headlights, but his I don't know what to call those, the police lights, until he or she knows you're going to be in a safe place where you can pull over. Okay, so he is expecting you to promptly pull over once you've once he does shine those police lights. Okay. When he does pull you over, you must stay in your vehicle. Do not leave your vehicle. Okay. I'm telling you the proper etiquette for this. Okay. Do not leave your vehicle. Roll down your window when he comes to your vehicle. You do not need to roll down your window beforehand. Okay. Because it might be bad weather. He or she, the officer is going to ask you for two things. They're going to ask you for your license and your registration. You can get these prepared for the officer before he or she comes to your vehicle. Okay. The sooner that you have them available for the officer, presumably the sooner you'll be able to go on your way. Okay. The officer is always going to ask, do you know why I pulled you over? Okay. It is now we're getting into specifics about whether or not you should tell the officer. I think, guys, that it's like this. Officers, when they're among each other, they complain to each other about drivers who feign ignorance or take on the air of defiance. Okay, so I would say, and I'll tell you this by personal experience, if you appear contrite and apologetic and truthful, and if you knew why you were pulled over for a violation, my experience has been to truthfully say, I am very sorry, officer. I understand why you pulled me over. It was because I rolled through a stop sign. And I'm very sorry for it, and I will never do it again. I would appreciate it if you could allow me to go with a caution. Okay, whether or not the police officer is going to let you go with a caution depends on a lot of different things, and it's out of your hands. Okay, the one thing I will say is that regardless, he or she is going to check your driver's license, and he or she is going to check your registration, and he or she is going to check your inspection. Okay, if your registration or inspection are out of date, that officer is not going to allow you to leave with just a caution. Okay. He or she is going to most likely take your information back to his or her patrol car, run it through the computer in the car, make sure that you don't have any other traffic violations outstanding or any other, I don't know, more serious offenses outstanding. And then we'll return to your vehicle with your driver license and your registration. And usually with a ticket that has been processed in the vehicle, in the officer's vehicle. The ticket then will tell you where to go, and we have a picture of that. So, and then once you receive your ticket, the officer will almost always tell you, to drive safely, and continue going wherever you were going. Okay, and that should be the end of the process, unless either the officer senses something suspicious within the vehicle, or there's another issue with the vehicle, or you've done something that would trigger that officer's suspicion of for some reason. Okay, so, and here, guys, we are talking only about the realm of traffic violations. Okay, so I'm just going to read this real quick. So, new driver probation. You are on license probation for 6 months after you pass a road test. If you are found guilty of committing any two moving violations during your probation period, your license will be suspended for 60 days. It will also be suspended for 60 days if you are found guilty of committing a single, more serious violation during the probation period. For example, speeding, right, in excess, I believe, of 15 miles per hour. Anything that carries 4 points will get your license suspended. Tailgating, unauthorized racing, or reckless driving. If you are found guilty of committing a texting cell phone violation during the probation period, your license will be suspended for 120 days. Okay, there are huge crackdowns on texting and driving, and of course, driving under the influence. Or driving while uh, driving while under the influence of alcohol or drugs. And remember, these can even be over-the-counter drugs, guys, just like Benadryl, for example. Okay, stuff that makes you drowsy. So please keep that in mind. There's one more thing I wanted to say about these things. And I wanted to say this one too. In this whole list, passing a school bus that has its red lights flashing. Okay, that carries at least 4 points. I think it carries more than that. And that's an automatic. Here we go. Okay, so here's what your traffic ticket looks like. We can see here that your name, your address, and different demographic features or information will be right here in the top part of your ticket. Okay. Some things about this ticket will be also which police agency or ticketing agency is that's going to be somewhere on there. The name of the officer will show up somewhere on here. It looks like right here on this ticket. Okay. The description of the violation right here, speeding in a zone, right? So in a work zone. They'll have the date, they'll have the time. I think it might even have the name of the law up here, it looks like. Okay. It's hard for me to read some of the other stuff here. But the officers, it's information about the officer, information about where this happened, right? The officer, his number, and so on. Let's see. And then this is information about the court. Okay. So everything after that is going to be about the court. Okay. So it's going to tell you where the court is located if you choose to go to court and defend yourself or have someone defend you. Okay. So you can make choices about what you want to do about this ticket. Okay. You can either, you can plead guilty. Okay. And I think that may or may not waive the court surcharge. I'm not sure. Something we should research. If you plead guilty, you can plead guilty by mail. Okay. So you're going to mail this ticket in and you'll mail in I almost want to say that the amount is right on the ticket itself for the violation, but I don't know for sure. If you choose to plead not guilty, okay, here's where you do it. And you're going to fill this in and you're going to send this to the court as well. Okay. You will have to appear at the court at this time unless you can arrange for a different court like time. All right. So this is what you're going to have to prepare yourself to do. Okay. Now, it's up to you and your family whether or not you want to have someone represent you. Then, of course, it's usually not free. And that lawyer, right, may or may not be successful about pleading your case that you are not guilty. Okay, I think we have. Okay, so how much does a speeding ticket cost? Well, take a look at this, guys. This is a great little thing right here. So, and we have the points associated with it. Remember, anything over 3 points is a 60-day suspension for us. So, if you are traveling between 1 and 10 miles per hour over the speed limit, it carries 3 points. $45 to $150 is the cost of the ticket, right? The fine. Okay, if you're traveling between 11 and 30 miles per hour over, the cost will be between $90 and $300. And depending on how much faster you were driving than the speed limit, the points go accordingly. Okay. And then $180 to $600. So that's when we're traveling between or over 31 miles over the speed limit. Okay. So it can get pretty costly. And the points are pretty incredible. And I believe, guys, at 8 points, maybe it's 9 points, anyone loses it, their license is automatically suspended, regardless of whether or not they are, if they've been driving all their lives or if they are a probationary driver, such as yourselves. A speeding ticket from Staten Island can be surprisingly expensive. And why are we talking about Staten Island? Mainly because a lot of the students that I am working with this spring are from Staten Island. The fine for speeding most often runs from 150 to 600 miles or $600, but has been known to go much higher. Each ticket also comes with a mandatory state surcharge of $88. So that sounds like it's attached to the ticket rather than the court. Should the ticket put the total number of points on one's license at 6 or more, the driver will be required to pay a driver responsibility assessment fee. We've learned all about that. The DRA is separate from the fine and is paid directly to the DMV. It costs $300 plus $75 for each point over six, and we pay that off over 3 years. Okay, so it's $100 each year, or you can pay upfront. Paying a speeding ticket also means it will appear on one's driving record and can raise insurance premiums by hundreds of dollars per year for 3 years or more. That's very important to consider, guys. These points result in increased premiums for your insurance, especially for young drivers like yourselves. And if in your family you have a very expensive car or a sports car, these will increase even more so. Finally, 11 points or 3 regular speeding tickets or 2 work zone speeding tickets within 18 months can lead to license suspension or revocation. Okay, and the way the DMV does this is over an 18-month period. Okay, so for you guys, it's different, but once you have your full driver license, which is what your aim is here in this course, 11 points is your max in 18 months. Anything, I think maybe it is 11 points results in suspension. Okay. And it's not in 1 year. It all kind of renews over 18 months. Okay. And it's kind of a running type thing. So at any point within 18 months that you have 11 points or 3 regular speeding tickets or 2 work zone speeding tickets, your license will be either suspended or revoked. Okay, speeding ticket data from Staten Island, New York. Nearly 20,000 speeding tickets were issued to drivers in the borough of Staten Island in 2018, slightly more than 2017. Police in Staten Island issued the highest proportion of speeding tickets of any New York City borough. 21.7% of all tickets written in 2018 were for speed-related offenses. Among those, 12.7% received companion tickets. Those are the ones, for example, last year. For example, these are a second ticket in addition to the speeding ticket. Okay, could be for like registration's out of date. The most common were for licensing violations, such as driving without a license, equipment violations, like you have a light out, and disregarding traffic controls. Okay. Approximately 1/3 of drivers ticketed for speeding are from New York State. The remainder are from out of state or Canada. Okay. So interestingly, a lot of people, this is why the police make quite a bit of money doing this, is a lot of people are trying to get from Brooklyn. Brooklyn, by the way, is the most populous of the boroughs as far as where people live, to New Jersey, either because they live in New Jersey or they have work in New Jersey or something like that, or they're trying to get to Jersey Shore, which would be in this southerly route. Okay. So, and as we were learning this class, speed kills. So it's a good thing that the police are out and monitoring vehicles speeding. We don't want people speeding on our roadways. It's very, it contributes to so many problems. Okay, what happens if you do not answer a traffic violation ticket? Okay, I think it's important for everyone to understand that there are consequences for this. This is how it would look. Okay, you would have a police officer giving testimony. That would be you. Standing in front of the judge would be over in the corner over here. Okay. If you don't answer the ticket by pleading guilty or not guilty in the time allowed, your license or driving privileges may be suspended. Almost 100% guarantee. Over time, failure to respond can result in a guilty finding. This is a default conviction, even though you weren't there. A separate suspension will be imposed for not paying the fine, and a judgment could be entered against you. Okay, and there could be a warrant out for you as well. What determines insurance rates? A lot of stuff determines insurance rates. But let's go over these, like all of this real quickly. So your driving record. And your driving record you can prove through your driver's abstract. And you can get that from the DMV. Okay. Your age plays a pivotal role in your insurance rates. The miles that you drive between your home and where you typically go. So for adults like me, it's to work. For people like you, it's to school. So the number of miles will determine that. So the more miles, the more insurance you pay. The more likely you are to get in an accident because you're on the road more. Your gender plays a role. Okay, we all know this already. Young men typically, and so we are dealing with typical stuff here, are just more risk prone. They're more risky drivers, right? And for that reason, they're more accident prone, and so insurance rates reflect that. Your marital status, the idea being that if you are married, you are less likely to get in an accident. Statistics have proven this, and the only assumption we can make is that, well, if you're married, you're probably a little more responsible, I guess, on the road, maybe because you have more to lose. I'm not sure. If you're married, you usually are investing into different stuff like your house and so on. So, you have more to lose if you get in an accident. Type of vehicle you drive, right? So if you are driving a sports car, then your insurance rates will usually increase versus driving something that is more, let's say, conservative, like, I don't know, a Toyota Camry, for example. Where the driver lives and drives, this one plays a vital role. Okay, so if you live in upstate New York, where I live, the drivers here, there's really not that much congestion. The drivers in upstate New York, on the whole, especially in towns, drive very conservatively, very nicely. They follow road rules very well. Most of them actually underwent driver education themselves, and they apply what they learned to the road. If you are living in South Florida, like I used to live, then it's a whole nother story. You have people who have never taken driver education. They started driving at 15 years of age, and they've developed, bad habits over time, and they've always felt, I don't know what the right word is, entitled to driving aggressively. Okay, and aggressive driving leads to risky driving. So your driver's claim record, that is, what have you claimed from your driver, from your insurance company? This could be anything, guys. It could be, for example, I think I made a claim because hail hit my car. And that even had, that reflected an increase in the rates for myself. My feeling is that claims usually, unless you're getting a really, really big claim, you're going to be paying off that claim over time. They put surcharges on your insurance rates too. Driver education programs reduce your rates, okay? And this is probably the best way to look at this. We drive safely and we drive defensively. And how can we bring these rates down? Driver education programs. Years of driving experience will bring your rate down. Your credit history, if you have good credit or your parents have good credit, will bring your rates down. Whatever your previous insurance coverage was is going to be somewhat reflected in your new insurance rates. Your coverage and deductibles. If you insure your vehicle more, in the grand scheme, your package will be have some percentage points off for extending your coverages. Okay. And increasing your deductible. I should talk about that. Okay. So deductible is the amount of money that's out of pocket when you get, for example, in an accident, or you make a claim. Let's put it that way. When you make a claim because of an accident or hail, some type of damage to your vehicle, almost everyone pays a deductible, which is kind of this agreement that you will pay the first $500 in a claim, and then the insurance company will take on the rest of the claim. Why? Because if you don't have a deductible, everyone's going to always make these claims for small stuff like, a broken window, for example, or, a dent in the side of the car that, it's usually a $50 claim or something like that, or maybe like a $200 claim. The insurance companies don't want to be dealing with that, so they want you as the owner of the vehicle to deal with small claims and for them to deal with the big ones. Okay. And of course, the overall cost of the vehicle is going to be reflected in your insurance rate as well. Okay, this is what a driver abstract looks like. We saw that in the previous page. Basically, what it shows is the amount of violations, and I think we can see quite a few of them here. The violations that you've been not accused of, but actually found guilty of in the last 18 months. Okay, and you can apply for this right on the New York State DMV website. Okay, so let's take a look at what car insurance is. This is a great video for explaining what it is. And I'll tell you, it's wonderful. You can access this video again and again and again when you need to, when your insurance policy comes up for renewal. And it really helps you understand the different parts of your car insurance. My car insurance came up for renewal not that long ago, so it was excellent to have watched this video again. Okay, sorry for the typo here. What is the one type of insurance that everyone must carry by law? Number 2, does liability insurance pay money to you when you get into an accident or to others? What does the bodily injury part of liability insurance cover? What does the property damage part of liability insurance cover? Which insurance covers your own vehicle in an accident, even if it is your fault? Which insurance covers your car against damage that is not caused by an accident, such as theft or a falling object? Number 7, which insurance protects you against uninsured and underinsured drivers? And number 8, which insurance ensures that medical bills are paid quickly, no matter who's at fault? It even covers lost income, childcare, or even a funeral. Okay, and I'm going to stop this video to answer each one of these, okay? Here we go.
When you've been in a car accident, you need someone to have your back. By purchasing car insurance, you can make sure that someone will. But there are many types of insurance that offer different kinds of protection. Which ones do you need? Let's walk through the 6 major types to find out. Liability is the one type of insurance everyone must carry. It protects other people when you're responsible for an accident. There are 2 sides to liability coverage: bodily injury coverage and property damage coverage.
Okay. So, liability insurance is the one that everyone must carry by law. Okay.
Sides to liability coverage: bodily injury coverage and property damage coverage. Bottom.
Okay. Whoops, sorry. I'm going to take this off. Move it over here. Okay. So we have bodily injury insurance and we have property liability insurance. Okay. Does liability insurance pay money to you when you get into an accident or to others? Let's find out. Sorry for the little bit of. See
When
if I
you've
can
been
move
in a
this.
car accident, you need someone to have your back.
Sorry, guys. Having a little bit of an issue here with this. Okay, here we go.
When you've been in a car accident, you need someone to have your back. By purchasing car insurance, you can make sure that someone will. But there are many types of insurance that offer different kinds of protection. Which ones do you need? Let's walk through the 6 major types to find out. Liability is the one type of insurance everyone must carry. It protects other people when you're responsible for an accident. There are 2 sides to liability coverage: bodily injury coverage and property damage coverage. Bodily injury liability insurance pays medical bills, and it can also compensate people for things like lost income and pain and suffering.
Okay, so what does liability insurance pay money to you? Okay, does liability insurance pay money to you when you get into an accident or to others? It pays to others. Okay, liability insurance is for other people. Okay, that you need to pay for some type of damage or something that you did to somebody else. Okay. Number 3, what does the bodily injury part of liability insurance cover? It covers right here. Okay, medical bills and lost income to someone that you injured while you were driving. Okay. Our next one's going to be what does property damage? What does the property damage part of liability insurance cover? Go.
Property damage liability insurance pays to repair or replace other people's vehicles that you've damaged. It can also cover the cost of fixing fences and other kinds of property that.
Okay, so number 4? What does property damage cover? Okay, covers repairs to other people's vehicles that you. Basically, it's a property that you damaged, right? So it could be to a vehicle. So we're going to pay for repairs for a vehicle or repairs to any other type of property that you damaged, right? Could be a city property, right? Like a telephone pole or a light pole, or it could be someone's fence or house.
That you may run into. Collision insurance protects your own vehicle after an accident.
Okay. Oh! Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I really do want to stop this with each one on this with the Screencastify. So, which insurance covers your own vehicle in an accident? That is called collision, even if it's your own fault. So, if you do not have collision insurance, is not mandatory. Okay. So, but think about this: if you get in an accident, this happens all the time. If you get in an accident, let's say you either hit something on your own or you hit another car, it's your fault. Okay. Then your liability insurance is going to cover the damages that you caused to the other, the other vehicle or the property, whatever you just damaged. But it doesn't. If you don't have any collision insurance and your car is destroyed, that's it. Your car's gone. Okay, it becomes really challenging too because insurance companies really don't want to insure your car for collision if if it's an older vehicle. Okay, so let's say your vehicle. Look, I'll give you mine as an example. I have 2 vehicles. I have a 2014 Mustang, and I have a 2003 Honda Pilot. I rely on the Honda Pilot, especially in the wintertime. Okay, but because the total value of that vehicle is so low at this point, like probably less than $5,000. The insurance company doesn't want to offer any type of collision insurance for it. So I do know, and I drive accordingly, that if I happen to cause an accident with that vehicle and that vehicle is damaged any the cost of repairing or replacing that vehicle is totally on me. Okay, and if you're someone like I was when I was a kid, your age, uh, I got a hand-me-down car, just like that Toyota 2003. It has very little monetary value. It has a lot of value when it comes to just getting, saving me a lot of money getting to and from work, but it doesn't hold much monetary value. So consider that when you're driving your hand-me-down car, it's going to cost a lot of money to replace that hand-me-down car. Okay, so drive accordingly. Here we go.
Collision insurance protects your own vehicle after an accident, even if you're the one at fault. You will be required to buy it if you use a loan or lease to obtain your vehicle. Otherwise, getting this protection for your own car is your choice. Comprehensive insurance protects your car against damage not caused by an accident, such as theft, falling objects, or natural disasters.
Okay, so comprehensive. Which insurance covers your own vehicle in an that's collision. Which insurance covers your car against damage that is not caused by an accident, such as theft or falling objects? This is called comprehensive insurance. Okay, so it's different than collision. So this has happened to me. I've had a tree fall on my car and do major damage. Okay, collision and comprehensive insurance covered it. The comprehensive insurance part of your package covers this. Or theft. This is pretty common in certain parts of the United States, right?
It's usually purchased in combination with collision insurance. And, like collision insurance, you'll be required to get it if you have a loan or lease. What happens if you're harmed by a driver who doesn't have enough insurance to cover all of your losses? You're out of luck unless your policy includes uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage. Depending on
This is pretty huge, guys, because there are many drivers out there who are not insured or underinsured. They only have the minimum. If your car is more than $50,000, then this person for New York State is if he's just paying the minimum, he's underinsured. You're only going to get $50,000 for the damage to your vehicle, I believe. Okay. Um, Same thing when Amy got hit by that drunk driver. He had I don't even know if he even had insurance, guys, and he wasn't collectible. He had spent quite a bit of his adult life in jail. I don't think he had any savings whatsoever. Didn't have any pension coming his way. He wasn't even collectible. So poor Amy had to really deal with with all these medical bills and so on, really out of her own pocket. Oh, we did it again. Here we are, uninsured
out of
person.
luck unless your policy includes uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage. Depending on where you live, you may be required to get this type of insurance. Even if it's optional, it's very affordable and provides important protection. Now let's talk about medical bills. If you're injured in an accident, they can stack up fast. But personal injury protection coverage, sometimes called no-fault insurance, can help with these costs. It makes sure medical bills get paid quickly, no matter who is at fault. And it helps with other expenses like lost income, childcare, or even a funeral. Personal injury protection is mandatory in 15 states.
It is mandatory in New York State. Okay, you pay this, and that's going to come right from here. The money's going to come right from here, from PIP, for your medical expenses and so on. And then your insurance company is going to work to get the rest and whatnot. But that's what you get. And it's usually $50,000, I believe, per accident.
But even where it's not required, you may still be able to purchase it. In some states, there's a different form of insurance for medical expenses. Medical payments coverage, or MedPay, is similar to personal injury protection, but is more limited in scope.
We have personal injury
Unlike
protection
personal
for
injury
New York
protection,
State.
It won't pay for lost income or most other non-medical expenses. but it does cover accident-related medical bills for you and your passengers, supplementing other insurance coverage by paying any deductibles and copays they may have. MedPay will...
Okay. I do want you to imagine this, and you see this person with a smile on his face. Okay. Imagine if you were in an accident where you were paralyzed. Okay. Think about that, because this is a possibility. Okay. You're not going to have a smile on your face. And MedPay or personal injury protection isn't going to go very far for you. Okay. So again, this is the reason why the course is so important, to demonstrate to you how important it is for you to drive safely and to apply SIPD while you're driving. Okay. Like always, so that you aren't you never find yourself in a position where you are, for example, paralyzed. Okay.
cover funeral expenses as well. There are, of course, many other forms of insurance for car owners, such as coverage for roadside assistance or a rental car while your car is being repaired. But these 6 are the most important ones to consider. For more information on insurance options or to join the conversation on this topic, visit Wallet Hub's Types of Car Insurance page.
Okay. So after we went through those questions, let's take a look again. What do the coverages mean? So personal injury protections required by New York State. Let's see if we can see that. Okay, required by law. What's the coverage? Medical loss of income, medical expenses, loss of income, and other miscellaneous expenses like childcare. Claim includes medical expenses, loss of income, up to a max of $2,000 a month. Boy, guys, that is not a lot of money. Or 80% of current monthly income. Still, 80%. So you're losing out on 20% of your income because and someone hit you. That's horrible. It includes $25 per day for reasonable expenses. And there's a $2,000 death benefit, which will not cover a funeral. Okay. Funerals are usually, I don't know, I think the cheapest in my area is probably $5,000. I want to say downstate it's probably like $10,000. The minimum amount of that, let's see, read this. You have to pay at least a minimum that will cover this, $50,000, and it's the most common. Okay. Required by law. Yes, it is. It is required by law. It's also called no-fault insurance. So you might hear people say no fault. You might hear people say PIP, or you might hear people say personal injury protection. They all mean the same thing. And I apologize for how somehow or another it got so confusing. Bodily injury liability. Okay, so now we're in liability insurance, and we're talking about the bodily injury part. Okay, it pays claims against owner if someone is killed or injured and the owner is at fault. Okay, so owner means you are the driver who caused the accident, and it pays again for bodily injuries, right? Someone's medical expenses. So the claim includes hospital and doctor bills, legal fees, court costs, and loss of wages. That's huge. So depending on the type, the amount of coverage, okay, depending on the amount of coverage that you choose when you get your insurance, this will determine how much of the loss of wages you will cover. Okay, take a look. The minimum amount, okay, by law, okay, required by law, the minimum amount is $25,000 for, I think per person injured, $50,000 total. So if there's 3 people in the car, this doesn't pay $75,000. It only covers up to $50,000. This is going to be a big deal if you cause some injury to people that goes way beyond their wages, right? So $25,000 per person, $50,000 per crash in bodily injury benefits. That's the maximum payout. Okay. Most common is $300,000. Most people don't go for the minimum here. People usually go for $300,000. Okay, it's not, I don't think, that much of a increase for your insurance premium that you need to pay for it. So, by the way, guys, we're talking your insurance coverage really isn't. We're talking. I don't know. For youngsters, it can be more, but for someone my age, 46 years of age, got two vehicles. One of them happens to be something of a sports car. My insurance for both of these is like $100 and something a month. Uh, and I do have $300,000 right now for bodily liability insurance. When my son was here and living with me, right now he's studying at the local community college, but it's online, and he's in Europe right now. Um, I had it even higher for quite a while because I was concerned about him injuring multiple people. As it turns out, he's a pretty good driver and doesn't really drive too much except to school, and college is pretty close to where we live. Property damage liability pays claims against owner if property or others is damaged and owner is at fault. Okay, so this is covering for property damage like to a car. So claim includes other car and possessions in the vehicle that you damaged, damages to houses, telephone poles, traffic lights, etc. So the minimum that you can get yourself covered is $10,000, and it is required by law. You can go up above $10,000, but $10,000 is the minimum coverage. Okay, so when it says minimum amount, that means minimum coverage. Okay, let's move this thing out of the way for a minute. Okay, so now just get up there. Okay, statutory uninsured motorist. In New York State, it's required by law. You have to cover yourself against uninsured motorists or underinsured motorists. Okay, pays for injuries sustained by you and your passengers caused by an uninsured or underinsured motorist. Claim includes you and the passengers that in your car who were injured. Okay, the minimum that you can cover yourself for is $25,000 per person, or a total of $50,000 in an accident. Okay, those accidents for those that occur within New York State. Outside of New York State, you're not covered. Serves as supplementary insurance if outside of New York State, which is kind of nice. Okay, you can insure yourself to a higher amount. Okay, and it probably will not cost too much more money per month. Optimal basic economic loss insurance. This coverage provides an extra amount on top of the no fault limit. This could be interesting to you. Not required, but most common is a $25,000 coverage. Okay. Supplementary uninsured motorist. We just talked about statutory. Here's supplementary. Extends the coverage to accidents that occur outside of New York State. Okay. So it is not required. And when people do get this, it's usually a $50,000 coverage that they go for. Okay, so medical payment kind of insurance. This is not required by New York State. Okay, it's coverage that reimburses you and your passengers for medical or funeral expenses stemming from an accident, regardless of responsibilities. It covers medical or funeral expenses. Most common is $5,000, and that might have changed by now. I'm not sure. Collision. Okay, not required. Incredibly important. These two that we're going to talk about again are incredibly important. Okay, so collision reimburses you for damage to your own vehicle resulting from impact with another car or an object. Without collision insurance, you will not receive any reimbursement if you are at fault. Okay, so the claims include any damages that you sustain to your own vehicle by your own fault. Okay, uh, there is no minimum amount of coverage that is required by law. However, you're going to at least you're going to cover the costs of your vehicle. Okay, comprehensive insurance. Okay, these two kind of go hand in hand. This is for damages sustained from an impact that your fault, you drive your car into another car or into an object, you're going to be covered by collision. Comprehensive is when damage is done to your vehicle by some other process. Okay, so reimburses you for damage to your auto not caused by a collision. Okay, losses include theft, hail, vandalism, or hitting an animal. Okay, like a deer. It is not required. There's usually a 200 deductible that is associated with it. Remember, these deductibles are the amount of money that you need to pay out of pocket before you make your claim or while you make your claim. So if your claim is less than $500, you're not going to do it because then you're just handing over $100 to your insurance company, right? You're just not going to make the claim. You're going to fix it yourself. Okay, same here. Okay, you bought insurance in a vehicle. Now you have to maintain it, right? New vehicles come with warranties. This is very important as well. New vehicles come with warranties based on years and miles driven and specific to the vehicle you have chosen. Okay, when you buy a new vehicle, it will come with a warranty. Every vehicle nowadays comes with at least a 50,000 mile warranty. I think for just about bumper to bumper they call it. Okay, I think every vehicle that you buy in the United States nowadays, new 2020, 2021, it's bumper to bumper, at least 50,000 miles. Okay, used vehicles may or may not have a transferable warranty. Okay, if you are getting a used vehicle from your parents, oh, by the way, the warranties usually only run 3 to 5 years, depending on the vehicle. Most nowadays have a 5-year warranty, bumper to bumper, 50,000 miles. Okay, and usually a 100,000 mile powertrain warranty, which I think is the undercarriage of the vehicle. I don't even know exactly what that is or what that covers. Okay. But a warranty is like an insurance, right? So you can also buy warranties for your used vehicle. My 2014 Mustang is now 7 years old. The warranty is done. Right? I don't have a warranty for my vehicle anymore, and I've driven it over 50,000 miles too. So at this point, I could purchase an extended warranty, and it's like an insurance against any type of wear and tear type stuff or breakdown type stuff that happens to older vehicles. I'm not going to go that route, but that's a possibility. Okay, so just to take a look at my situation with my Ford Mustang. Okay, so let's take a look at Mr. Wallace's insurance. Okay, this just came up not that long ago. Let's take a look at what I've got. Okay, so what type of coverage? What are the limits? What's the deductible, if any? And how much do I need to pay? The premium is how much I pay to the insurance company. Okay, so we can see my total premium that I pay for the Ford Mustang is $354.86 a year. Okay, so we can see that's quite a bit. That's not even $100 a month. Okay, I do get some discounts for some stuff, and we'll see if we can find those in here. Okay, so the coverage I have, bodily injury, I've got the minimum, don't I? Right? So $25 for each person, or maxes out at $50,000, regardless of how many people are in the vehicle. Okay, this is liability, so this is what I do to someone else. Okay, there's no deductible. The premium for it is $178.75. All that stuff we talked about before about what contributes to an insurance rate is reflected right in this price. Okay, supplemental spousal liability included in BI limits. I guess it's in there, but I don't know. I guess my spouse is protected too if she's driving my vehicle. Okay, property damage. So remember, bodily injury, property damage, $25,000 is the max payout if I cause an accident, and I'm paying $75 a year for that coverage. Okay, anything beyond that, I'm going to have to pay out of pocket, and I'll explain how that happens. I get taken to court. Okay, we're talking about civil court, not criminal court, and an amount is determined by the judge, and then they arrange a way for me to pay it, either taking a loan and paying it all up front, or they garnish my wages, or they also get into my pension as well. Okay. Personal injury protection benefits. Okay, so remember, personal injury protection, that is state mandated, mandatory. Okay, and this is the money that's going to initially pay for me right away. It says, please refer to your policy. There's no deductible for it, but I do pay for it every month, $45, or not every month, but every year, $45.79. So it's most likely the absolute minimum, which we saw there was going to be something like $25,000 or $50,000. I can't recall. All right. All right. Let's continue. Maybe I took this right from the inside. Nope. This is a continuation. Optimal basic economic loss. That's involved in the personal injury protection. Not applicable. That probably means I haven't paid anything into it, guys. I'm not sure. Additional personal injury protection. I don't know. I probably did pay in more, but I'm not sure than the minimum. Maybe not. I'll have to look at my policy. And maybe that will be a separate little thing for us to look at. Auto insurance and auto collision insurance, not per. Okay. All right. This is before I renewed my policy. So I don't have collision. Why don't I have collision on my Ford Mustang? It's probably worth, I don't know, $20,000 right now. It'd be crazy for me to drive around in my car without insuring it. The reason why I don't have this on here right at the moment, guys, is because right now it's I just renewed it, and we had it off the road for the wintertime. That's why there's no coverage on it right now. Okay, so I put coverage back on. I'm going to have to renew this part of my lecture to reflect that. So anyway, collision's off right now. Comprehensive's off right now. Okay, and I don't have any portable electronic media coverage. Okay, let's see. Okay, here's the comprehensive. I don't know why it said something about. Let me just take a look back and see. This comprehensive for custom. I don't know what that means for custom. Okay, but for auto comprehensive insurance, it stayed on even though the car was off the road. Okay, the actual cash value is $500. That's my deductible, and it will cover the actual cash value of my vehicle. Okay, let's call it $20,000 right now. And I pay $54 a year for that. Okay, so we didn't take that off just in case, I don't know, someone hit my car, or a tree fell on my car while I was just sitting, or if I have it in the garage all winter long, the garage burns down, right, with my car with it. I will get reimbursed, right, because I'm paying this comprehensive insurance. Okay, full glass coverage applies. Yep, got that one. Auto, a lot of this is like with every insurance policy nowadays. This is your windshield. Okay, it's going to be covered with your insurance if you have comprehensive. Auto replacement protection, not purchased. I believe this is for a rental. Okay, if your car needs to be repaired as a result of something up here that happened. Automobile medical payments. I don't know. We don't even know what that is. Sound system. I didn't get that. That's, I believe, if it's stolen, for example. Supplementary, underinsured motorists, now called SUM. Okay, remember, this is required by New York State. Look how little it is where I live. 88 cents a year. Okay, and it covers that will cover $25,000 per person, or $50,000 in an accident. Okay, and then there's the discounts that I have. So I have an anti-theft thing in my car, system in my car, so that deducts my insurance by this much money. I've got a passive restraints, which means, I think, airbags, guys. That reduces my insurance too. Anti-lock brakes reduces my insurance. And daytime running lights and electronic stability control. all reduces your insurance. Surprisingly, I don't have some type of, I could also do the defensive driving course, and that would reduce my liability coverage by, I believe, 10%. Uh, if I chose to do that, I don't, and here's the reason: if I ever, I don't know, have an accident or get a ticket for something that has points, that defensive driver course that you can take reduces your points. I think it reduces it by like 3 points. So I rather than I don't have any points on my license, but my points are more important than saving 10%, especially as a driver education instructor. We cannot teach if we have more than, I want to say, guys, it's 8 points in any 6 or 18 month period. Then we lose our license. So for me, it's much more important to reduce my points than it is to save 10% on my car insurance. As you can see, it's not really all that much money. Okay, preventative maintenance. What is preventative maintenance on a vehicle? That's the care you routinely give your vehicle to avoid trouble later on. Okay. This attention includes not only day-to-day care, right? Like washing your car, for example. It also includes periodic servicing for your vehicle, right? And you can find when you're supposed to be doing these things in your owner's manual. Every car is different. Okay. Uh, Another one is just maintaining good tires. You're going to have to replace your tires. Usually after 50,000 miles, they are ready to be replaced. Oil changes, for example, right? So driving costs are affected by how well your vehicle runs. It is true. Performing regular maintenance can ensure more efficient operation and help prevent costly repairs down the road, right? So keeping your fluids clean and topped up. So your engine oil, your engine coolant, brake fluid, transmission fluid, and power steering fluid, they all need to be maintained. Gasoline, I always keep my gas tank between full and halfway, and once it gets at halfway, I fill it back up. Use gasoline with octane rating that is recommended by your vehicle manufacturer. Again, check your owner's manual for that. My two vehicles, believe it or not, take 87 octane. Okay, and then we're going to watch this video. It's very good for giving us an idea of all the stuff that needs to be taken care of. However, most of the stuff, guys, I mean, they're kind of telling you how you can kind of do it yourself. These are all things that we want our mechanic to do for us.
Hey everybody, Jeremy here from O'Reilly Auto Parts to talk to you about how to check and fill your vehicle's fluids. Checking fluids on a regular basis is an easy way to help ensure the longevity and reliability of your vehicle. Most owner's manuals will show you where these fluids are located under the hood, as well as recommending specific fluid types and service intervals. As always, if you're not completely comfortable doing this yourself, we'd be happy to recommend a professional technician in your area. Let's start by looking at engine oil. Besides fuel, it's probably the most important fluid in your vehicle. Motor oil lubricates engine components and keeps everything going smoothly. It's a good idea to check it once a month or more often if you suspect a leak or another issue. Your vehicle's manufacturer will specify the recommended oil weight and change service interval for your vehicle. Make sure your vehicle is turned off and sitting on level ground. Let it sit for at least 30 seconds before checking the oil level. Most vehicles have a dipstick under the hood that you'll use to check the level of the oil. Once you find the dipstick, slide it out and wipe the excess oil off the end with a shop towel. You should see markings or other indicators on the dipstick for minimum and maximum oil levels. After wiping off the excess oil, reinsert the dipstick all the way, then pull it back out to see what the oil level is. The oil should be reading close to the maximum marking. If it's a little low, add oil carefully to top it off. A funnel is helpful when you're doing this. Make sure you're adding where the oil fill cap is removed, not the dipstick tube. Add a few ounces at a time and recheck it to make sure you don't overfill it. If your level is at or below the minimum mark, it's important to add oil immediately. This could be an indication that your vehicle is leaking or burning oil. You should seek the help of a professional to prevent further damage. Also, take note of the texture or color of the oil. Get some between your fingers. It should be slick and smooth in a yellow or amber color. Grittiness or particles in the oil can indicate that components are wearing down, which is a major issue. If you notice a milky color, check to see if there's any condensation on the inside of the cap. If there is, it could be an indication of moisture that hasn't been burned off. But it could also mean that coolant is leaking into the engine oil, which is a more serious situation. Other indications of this can be brownish coloration in the coolant reservoir or white smoke from the exhaust. If any of those symptoms are present, you should have your vehicle towed to a shop to avoid damage to your engine. An engine produces a lot of heat, and your coolant, also known as antifreeze, is what keeps things cool. It does this by absorbing engine heat and allowing it to dissipate through the radiator, which keeps your vehicle from overheating. It's recommended you check your coolant level with each oil change. Always wait for your engine to cool completely before checking coolant. 2 to 3 hours is safe if you've been driving. Even though some reservoirs will give an accurate reading whether the coolant is hot or cold, pressurized coolant can spray and cause burns. To check the level, you'll usually see a tank that has minimum and maximum marks on it. Also, take off the radiator cap to make sure it's filled to the top. Only add coolant that's specifically approved by your vehicle's manufacturer. And if you suspect a leak, have your vehicle diagnosed by a professional as soon as possible. In most cases, a necessary element of steering is power steering fluid, although there are some vehicles that have electrically assisted steering that requires no fluid. It's a good idea to check your power steering fluid at every oil change, and change it as often as specified by your vehicle's manufacturer. Similar to other fluids, you'll usually find a reservoir or dipstick in the engine bay. Check the reservoir or remove the dipstick to check the reading, and top it off if necessary. To avoid causing damage, only use the type of power steering fluid specified by your vehicle's manufacturer. If this fluid is something you're having to add regularly, you probably have a leak. Have the problem looked at by a professional technician to avoid steering problems and safety issues. Vehicle brakes are hydraulic, which means they require fluid to function properly. Outside of any brake issues, it's beneficial to check your brake fluid level at every oil change. Most vehicles have a brake fluid reservoir under the hood, sometimes under a plastic cover near the bottom of the windshield. Just make sure the level falls between the marks for minimum and maximum. Also, if you can't see through the fluid, if it's dark or cloudy, it needs to be replaced. If you're adding to the reservoir, be sure only to use the brake fluid specified by your vehicle's manufacturer. If your vehicle has a manual transmission with a hydraulic clutch, you'll want to check your clutch fluid level at each oil change. Your clutch fluid reservoir is typically located near the brake master cylinder toward the back of the engine bay. Specific locations should be in your owner's manual. The fluid level should fall between the markings for minimum and maximum levels. Some older vehicles may have metal reservoirs that require you to remove the cap to see the level. Hydraulic clutches use the same type of fluid as hydraulic brake systems, so if you do need to add fluid, only add fluid that meets the DOT specification recommended by your vehicle's manufacturer. In our case, no additional fluid is needed. Transmission fluid serves to cool and lubricate components like gears, clutches, and valves inside your transmission. Some vehicles come with transmission fluid that isn't intended to be changed. Other vehicles will recommend changing the fluid every 30,000 to 100,000 miles. But if you're having transmission issues like rough shifting or surging, start by checking the fluid. In some cases, you'll find a dipstick. Others will require a professional technician. Always follow the procedures specified by your vehicle's manufacturer for checking transmission fluid. If your vehicle has a dipstick, the process will be similar to how you've checked other fluids. But there are a few differences. When you check the transmission fluid level, you'll want to have your engine turned on and transmission in park or neutral, depending on the vehicle. Setting your emergency brake and chalking your wheels is a good idea for this procedure. But before checking the dipstick, put your foot on the brake and use your gear selector to cycle through all the gears with the vehicle idling. This will allow a more accurate reading. The fluid should feel smooth and be amber or red in color. Fluid that's dark, cloudy, or gritty indicates a problem that requires professional attention. If you need to add transmission fluid, use a funnel to pour a small amount into the fill tube. In most cases, topping off this fluid won't require more than a pint, so add a small amount at a time. It's very important not to spill any outside the tube. Transmission fluid can ignite if it makes contact with the hot manifold. Make sure only to use the transmission fluid type specified by your vehicle's manufacturer. Put your foot on the brake and cycle through all the gears again. Recheck the dipstick to make sure the fluid is at the right level. Make sure when you're done to replace the dipstick securely. Some will latch or lock into place. Even though it isn't necessary to your vehicle's performance, windshield washer fluid is an important part of driving safely, and it's probably the easiest fluid to maintain. There are several varieties to choose from: freeze protection for cold weather, bug wash for summer, or all season for year-round visibility. The reservoir should be easy to find, and all you have to do is pour fluid in until it's full. Most vehicles will only have one reservoir, even if there's a rear wiper, but in some cases you'll find a washer fluid reservoir in the rear also. And that's it. You'll find everything you need for this and other jobs at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store or O'ReillyAuto.com. Our DIY videos are designed to...
Okay, so very quickly, I'm going to put a little sticker next to the ones that we should be able to do ourselves, okay? So we talked about these when the oil on the dipstick is at or below the minimum mark, it is important to add fuel immediately. Yes, if it's below the minimum mark, you don't want to be driving anymore with that vehicle. You either need to do it yourself or you need to bring it to a mechanic to add oil, okay? But can you check your oil dipstick? Yes, okay? And if you go to, especially like New Jersey, where you can't fill your own gas anyway, I believe this is a service that is automatically provided. When you have someone filling your gas, they can also check your oil levels by taking a look at your dipstick. Okay. So, and ideally, you would want them to actually show you where the level is so that you know yourself. All right, so something you should be able to do yourself. I'm going to put a little happy face next to it. True or false, smoke from the exhaust is a good thing. That is false. I don't think we have any sad faces, so I'm not going to do that anyway. True or false, coolant and antifreeze are the same thing, and it keeps your vehicle engine cool. Correct. That is true. True or false, you should check the power steering fluid every week. False. You should have it checked every time you have your oil changed. True or false? True. You should check the brake fluid at every oil change. This is a mechanic thing, and I would ask them to check your brake fluid at every oil change. So that is true. True or false? If you notice rough shifting in gears, you should check the transmission fluid. Absolutely, yes. Okay. When I say this, you should have the mechanic check it. True or false? Filling windshield washer fluid is very difficult and should be done by a professional. That is false. I'm going to put a happy face there because it's, again, something that you should be able to do. Okay. You should be able to check your oil, and you should be able to check and fill your windshield washer fluid. Okay. Here we go. Oh boy, here they are. They're still there. All right, let's see how I get rid of them. Eraser time. Vehicle maintenance, right? So we have air filters. We do have, oh boy, look at all this. We have belts and we have hoses. Again, this is going to be something that your mechanic is going to take care of when you bring your car in for an oil change. They should be going through all of this stuff. If it's not included in the oil change, go to a different mechanic. Okay, I typically go to an express lube of some. It's called Express Lube, Jiffy Lube. These are places where they will do all this within 15 minutes. They'll do all these things while they work on your car. All right. Okay. Yep. They'll check your battery too, right? And they'll check your tires. But I've never had a situation where they've actually told me, it's time to get new tires. Okay. But they will inflate the tires to the proper rate, okay, or pressure. And when they remember when they're doing this, that pressure really is supposed to be for like your cold tire pressure, not after driving the car for 5 hours. So try to do this right when early in the day, to take it to a Jiffy Lube, for example, or to your mechanic. Okay, let's move along. Okay, and jumping your car. This is the last part for today's lesson, and then everything else is going to be these are the parts that are covered in the quiz and the most important parts of today's lesson. And I know we're running into the hour and a half mark at this point. So we're going to watch this and then answer the questions, and we're done.
Hey guys, Chris Fix here. Today I'm going to teach you the proper way to jumpstart your car if your battery's dead. It's happened to all of us. You leave your headlights on, your battery just drains for some reason, and you need to jump. In my 95 Ford Windstar, the battery's dead. Just because it's 7 years old, it's pretty old. Batteries last about 4 years on average. As you could hear, it won't start, so I'm going to show you how to safely and properly jump a car. So the first step is get a car that runs and pull it up to the car with the dead battery, so the jumper cables could reach both batteries. You want to make sure that both cars are separated and don't touch each other when you do this. You also want to make sure that you take the keys out of the ignition for both vehicles. For each of our vehicles, you want to find the battery and find where the positive and negative leads are. This is my truck battery. This is the battery that works. So here's the positive, it's red. And then here's the negative, it's black. Now if we go over to our van, which is not starting, we can look at the battery, and you can see right here, black cable, that's our negative, and this one is our positive, it's our red cable. So once you identify that, we could begin. Now you're going to want to take your jumper cables and spread them out, so you have one red, one black in each hand, and just detangle the wires. Here's the dead battery in our van, and we'll take out the jumper cables. From this point forward, we don't want the jumper cable ends to touch each other. First thing we're going to do is take the one side of the jumper cables, we're going to get our red, which is our positive, and we're going to attach it to the positive side of the dead battery. You want to make sure you get a good connection right on that battery post. You can see that these copper pieces are touching the metal on the post, and there's a good connection. If you want, you could wiggle it around a little bit, just make sure you get it in there good. The reason why you attach the red cable to the dead battery first is because the dead battery doesn't have as much energy as the good battery, so starting here is the safest. You could take your ground and just put it on a piece of plastic. You don't want your ground touching any bare metal, because then you'll be grounding it out. You could just leave it there for now. We're going to connect it to the battery in a second. Now we're going to go over to the good battery. We're going to grab both of our leads just like we did before. Don't touch them together. We're going to take our red one and put it on the positive terminal, which is also red. At the good battery, we're going to get our black lead, and we're going to attach it to our negative side here. So we'll attach this here. Now we have the black lead and the red lead on the good battery attached. Back at the dead battery, this is the last lead we have to attach, but you aren't going to attach it to the negative battery terminal. Touching the lead to the negative battery terminal will cause a spark, and these sparks can ignite any fumes from the battery and cause an explosion. Batteries could create hydrogen gas, especially when they're run down and not working properly, and hydrogen gas is explosive, so to play it safe, just find another grounding point. Some cars have a ground spot away from the battery specifically for jumping your car, so check your owner's manual. If not, find a bare piece of metal for a ground that isn't a moving part and that isn't attached to an electrical component. So when looking for a ground, you want to try to find something that's bare metal. If we look here, there's a nice ground here, but unfortunately this wire is pretty thin. So if you don't have a good connection to this ground, this wire is thin, so you could actually melt it. A good spot to look is on the engine. When we're looking at the engine here, here's a nice bare piece of metal. My only problem with this bare piece of metal is that it's right next to the fuel pressure regulator, and we're trying to avoid sparks next to anything flammable, so this isn't a spot that I would want to use. But it's nice because it's a nice thick piece of metal, it's bare metal, it's directly connected to the engine, so you get a good ground. In my case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go find the strut tower, and as you can see on my strut tower, there's a bunch of good bolts that provide a good ground, and they're also bare metal. So we're going to attach it to that. The other good thing is this strut tower is away from the battery, so we don't have to worry about sparks. But there's tons of grounds that you could use. In this case, this is just one of them. Just get in here and clamp right down onto that, and make sure you have a good connection. So with our cables all set up, one last thing you want to do is you want to inspect to make sure that these cables are not near any cooling fans. You can see our cooling fans are over here, so we don't have to worry about that. And our serpentine belt is on the other side, so we don't have to worry about that. Now that our cables are clear, let's check out the other side. Moving to the good battery side, the fan is right here, as well as the serpentine belt, and our cables are out of the way over here. So we're ready to jump the vehicle. Now we're going to start the engine on my truck, which is the good battery, and let it run for 2 minutes. My truck's been running for about 2 minutes, so we're going to start the engine in my van. Hopefully it'll start up. There we go. Now, right away, you want to go and take off the negative terminal first. And now if I take this off and it sparks, it's away from the battery, which is being charged and potentially creating hydrogen gas. If we take off the red terminal first, we could create a spark right here, which is on top of the battery, which wouldn't be good. So we'll remove the negative terminal first. Don't let this touch anything. And then we'll remove our positive terminal on the bad battery. Make sure these don't touch. Then you remove the red cable and then the black cable. And now your car is started, so you're not stranded anymore. So let's just give a scenario where you go.
Okay, so true or false, you attach the red cable to the red lead and the black cable to the black lead in the car that is giving the charge. That is false. First, we need to attach the red cable to the receiving battery first, and then over to, well, let's just make sure. We'll just double check right now. Okay. And here we are.
And you can see right here, black cable, that's our negative. And this one is our positive, it's our red cable. So once you identify that, we could begin. Now you're going to want to take your jumper cables and spread them out. So you have one red, one black in each end. And just detangle the wires. Here's the dead battery in our van, and we'll take out the jumper cables. From this point forward, we don't want the jumper cable ends to touch each other. The first thing we're going to do is take the one side of the jumper cables. We're going to get our red, which is our positive, and we're going to attach it to the positive side of the dead battery.
Okay, so positive side of the dead battery. So we're doing the red first. So this answer is false. Number 2, you ground the receiving black cable to metal parts of the receiving car, but not near a place that may have fumes or gas. That is true. Remember, he attaches it underneath. He finds some place. And number 3, true or false, the first cable to connect is the black cable to the giving battery. I don't know why I'm kind of asking this twice, but that is false. On the other side, let's take a look.
You want to make sure you get a good connection right on that battery post. You can see that these copper pieces are touching the metal on the post, and there's a good connection. If you want, you could wiggle it around a little bit.
It's touching it because it's dead.
Good. The reason why you attach the red cable to the dead battery first is because the dead battery doesn't have as much energy as the good battery. So starting here is then you'll be grounding it out. You can just leave it there for now. We're going to connect it to the battery in a second. Now we're going to go over to the good battery. We're going to grab both of our leads just like we did before. Don't touch them together. We're going to take our red one and put it on the positive terminal, which is also red.
Red goes with positive, black negative.
Battery, we're going to get our black lead, and we're going to attach it to our negative side here. So we'll attach this here.
Okay, so he said we're going to attach our red first. So let's say false on this, and let's see if there's a reason for that. I'm not sure.
Now we have the black lead and the red lead on the good battery attached. Back at the dead battery, this is the last lead we have.
Okay, kind of a weird question. So the first cable to connect is the black cable to the giving battery. That is false. Okay, we're going to call this, we're going to bring this to an end now. So I believe we've gone, I think, over the 90-minute mark at this point. So with all that being said, I'm pretty sure there's not much more to our video anyway. On tires. Yep, we did tires already. Okay. But I do want to stop it at the 90-minute mark, and I think we're right there right now. I didn't look, but I'm pretty sure. So we're calling an end for today's lesson for Unit 14, okay, for Lesson 14. And please look for the Quiz 14 review, okay, the review for quiz for Lecture 14.